Ultimate has always had a massive problem in this competitive scene. This stage list. Yes. Some of you guys might say, what? Ultimate doesn't have a problem with stage list, but no, it's always had a massive problem. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to talk about how small battlefield changes the entirety of the stage list and maybe even the meta of Ultimate. I think that's maybe a little bit reaching too far, but that's what some people have been saying. So what is small battlefield? If you don't know, it recently got added. It's just battlefield without the top platform. The ceilings are essentially like battlefields on the sides, but on the top, it's like FD. So it's pretty close to Pokemon Stadium 2 ceilings, I would say. So pretty small ceilings in general. And the most notable thing is that the stage is small in size. Now, it does share some similarities with Pokemon Stadium 2, and we'll kind of get into whether or not we should allow both. But the main difference is that the platforms are lower, significantly lower than they are on Pokemon Stadium 2. And I would say the most important thing is that the stage length is very small. Pokemon Stadium 2 is kind of a stage where you have a massive wide stage, and then in the middle there's two platforms, and the platforms are pretty far away from each other too. On this stage, you can kind of see that like this is pretty close to the edge, for example, just like Battlefield, and you can more easily move between the platforms with like a full jump. So what does this change with the stage list? Some people have been saying that because we now have small battlefield, which you can actually use it with hazards on and it doesn't change, just like FD. Hazards on FD and hazardless FD are the same. Some people have been saying that this is now caused to make a stage list where you have hazards on. So you can have moving Smashville platforms, moving Town and City platforms, Randall on Yoshi's. This means you can't use Colo since that stage transforms too. And yeah, basically it's because Pokemon Stadium 2 transforms if you have hazards on, and that's why people don't want to do it. This is the stage list that Evo 2019 used, which is an awful stage list. Just to confirm, doesn't Lilat also tilt more with hazards on? Or am I crazy? I'm pretty sure that's the case. It does? Yeah. Okay, so with hazards on, you couldn't play Lilat. You can't play Yoshi's Island Brawl. In my opinion, you can't play Yoshi's Story. Randall is too annoying for a game with broken recoveries already. And the Shy Guys come in and give food, which isn't really a fun, entertaining concept. And yeah, like just stalling between stocks on Randall is very, very powerful, especially for characters with wall cling. Town and City, like I actually don't think that moving platforms are a good thing. They're janky. They add more randomness. In any game where recoveries matter and combos matter, like taking on the platforms, having moving platforms just isn't a very good idea, I think. For Smashville, for example, you know, it's okay in Brawl where you are gonna recover regardless, but in some matchups, like let's say you're playing against a Crom, having that platform essentially be a 50% chance of being on your side is a massive, massive deal when trying to edgeguard someone, and it's not a healthy one, I think. Especially because a regular Smashville is a fine stage, so you don't need to change it for that. And yeah, just in general, I don't really think that we need more randomness and weird stuff going on in a match. And as many people know, it's very annoying to have to switch between hazards on and hazards off because you can't choose that in the stage directory. You have to actually go back and pick a rule set. And yeah, I don't really think there's any stage that is actually better with hazards on anyway. So in my opinion, you should just keep them off. Like this, the small battlefield does not change anything. Now, this side does not have small battlefield on yet. So what we'll do when we make our stage list is we're gonna use big battlefield if it's here. My YouTube editor can edit in a picture of small battlefield. How about that? So small battlefield is obviously viable. Castle Siege, some people have been saying. WarioWare, Woohoo Island, it's awful. Unova, I think it's called. Duck Hunt, I guess. No one wants Duck Hunt. Even Redditors don't want Duck Hunt. Some people want FOD, that's true. We'll talk about Fountain as well. Yggdrasil, no. Yggdrasil is bad. It's too wide too. But I guess we'll talk about it too. Dreamland, okay. All right, so now we have all the stages here and let's take a look at them. First, we'll take away the obvious bad ones. Woohoo Island, no. 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 If you think Woohoo Island should be legal, no. You don't matter. WarioWare? Castle Siege? No. No. Okay, I guess I have to confront something like this. Some people, mostly Redditors and Twitter boys and Twitch chatters that do not actually attend tournaments want this stage legal. And I want to make it clear. If you do not attend tournaments, if you do not go to majors, your opinion on the game and what stage should be played does not and will never ever matter. In some games, maybe spectators matter a little bit more, but in a game where even the top players make pathetic winnings by placing top 3, no, spectators are never gonna matter. The people that spend $500 for an airplane ticket, $200 for a hotel, and $70 for entry to the venue, those are the people that get to decide whether or not the stage should be banned or not. And tournament entrants have all despised WarioWare and Castle Siege forever. So your opinion on it thinking, oh, it's not that bad. No, it is that bad. Trust me. Maybe it's fun for you to see people die at 10% due to gimmicks and cheat skills, but it's not fun. And it's not fun having to auto-ban a stage just so that you can have a fair match. Secondly, I would say Yoshi Island Brawl has way too many slopes. You know, like, and it's not even a unique stage layout. This is literally bad Smashville with slopes and Shy Guys if you have hazards on. Yeah, it's just an awful stage. Really, really bad stage. Slopes in general are not good, but on Yoshi's Island Brawl, they're the most egregious. Egresso is too big. The game is already slow enough. You live forever, and the moving platforms, yeah, it's not really needed. It's kind of a bad town and city, and the starting thing is bad too. Okay, so next up we have the duplicate stages and why we have to remove those. Fountain of Dreams no longer lags as of this patch, at least that's what people have been saying. However, this does not matter. Fountain of Dreams is essentially identical to Battlefield in terms of ceiling, platform layout, you know, stage, everything. It's extremely close. It looks pretty, but it's basically the same. You could have the argument that you play Fountain of Dreams instead of Battlefield for more visual difference, but honestly, that's still kind of weak, especially since we can't really confirm yet whether or not it absolutely does not lag, and because you can pick any stage to look like Battlefield with, what is it called? Not Omega, Beta stage, whatever. You know what I'm talking about, where you can play on any stage with Battlefield looks. So if that was a priority for competitors to have it visually look different, then you can do that with Battlefield. Fact of the matter is though, most of the times when you're playing a tournament match, you care more about winning than how the stage looks. So that is why most people don't bother. Dreamland is kind of the same thing. It is a little bit different, but the real issue with both Fountain of Dreams and Dreamland, outside of them being too similar to Battlefield, is that Yoshi's Story is one of the stages that we kind of need because we need stages with smaller ceilings. If you have Battlefield, Yoshi's, Dreamland, and Fountain available, you can't ban enough triplats against characters that abuse them, such as like Mario with upper, up B. So we can't really afford to have any more triplats. And if we have to choose between Yoshi's, Dreamland, and Fountain, then Yoshi simply has the most meaningful differences from regular Battlefield to basically be a free choice every time. Next up, we have what I would call the dual plats. So we have small Battlefield, Pokemon Stadium 2, and Unova. Unova has not been legal for a very long time, ever since people struggle with recovering below, like, very far down. I personally don't think that's a big problem. You can kind of easily avoid that, and recovering in Ultimate is already easy as it is. However, I do think the lighting effects are very annoying. It like blinds you a little bit, and we already have a lot of stages with 2 platforms on. The fact of the matter is that the dual paths are not really exclusive to Unova, Pokemon Stadium 2, and Battlefield. Small Battlefield. In reality, Early Town and City and Kalos both serve the same function in their platforms as Unova, because the Unova platforms are so far apart that they're hard to fight from and are more used as either ledge trapping options or camping options and stalling. And so I don't really think you need another stage with those features in, because it does make banning and striking very difficult and impractical for some characters. And again, it has lighting effect. So this is going to be off as well. This is another point, right? Like some of you guys might say like, it's not a big difference, but I would love to see the stage. Of course you would like to see it, but for competitors, it's much better to have a more concise stage list. So you don't have to spend an hour on bans every set. And if people do not like playing on it compared to Pokemon Stadium 2, then why should it be on, right? Having many similar stages on that are similar matter a lot for the balancing of the ban system and the striking system. So next up we have the wide stages. This is another group that was very overrepresented, and the problem has essentially been that in Ultimate, the meta has always been that camping characters are too strong. Stalling is very strong, running away is extremely strong, and that many stages do not promote interaction. And this is partly due to the fact that the stage list encourages this greatly. When it comes to wide stages, you have FD, Battlefield, that is not small and you can kind of circle camp on a little bit. Yoshi's Story, that is also wide and you can also circle camp on. You have Town and City, which is obviously huge. Kolos, where you can run away forever, live forever, and camp on the side platforms. And Pokemon Stadium 2, which is the widest stage, I believe. And the platforms are far enough away enough to where you can stall easily from those two. And so the problem has always been like, okay, we need to fix this. We need to add smaller stages to kind of balance out and put small stages with equal representation of big stages. And this is actually why Small Battlefield was introduced. Sakurai himself said that he would introduce this for competitive reasons, and maybe he realized that there was just too many wide stages that are currently being played. Personally, I wish he would have just fixed Stage Builder so we could make a decent WarioWare that's not super buggy like the current Stage Builder version is. But I digress. You know, with Nintendo, you can never really reach for the stars. You gotta take what breadcrumbs they give us. Okay, so the problem is that you can't add WarioWare because it's an awful stage, right? With the ceilings too small and such. And Castle Siege is even worse. It has slopes, the camera obscures things. It is like not even, so one person starting has an advantage. It's just so many problems. And all these other stages, Dreamland, Woohoo, Unova, Fountain, and Yggdrasil are all big as well. The only exception is Yoshi's Island, which again is an awful stage because of all the slopes, and it's already represented in Smashville. So what you basically have is you have a lack of small stages. Now, Small Battlefield aims to shake that up, and I think it can be done successfully. But there's a couple of directions you can go here, I think. The way I would probably do it is... this is so hard. I would maybe remove FD from starters and move that to counterpicks and put Small Battlefield as a starter. The starting stages are the hardest. You could either make 7 starters or you could make 5. I think that's another very viable alternative to have Battlefield, FD, Pokemon Stadium 2, Smashville, Town and City, Small Battlefield, and Lylat as starters, because all those stages are significantly different. Some people will say, hey, wait a minute, didn't you say Small Battlefield and Pokemon Stadium are both dual plats? They both are, but the difference is pretty significant in how you actually play the game. First off, the platform height definitely matters, especially for some characters that can't make it to the side plats of Pokemon Stadium 2 with one full jump. And additionally, just the fact that so much of the Small Battlefield stage is covered up by the platforms makes it play almost more like Smashville, where you always have to factor in the platforms, rather than Pokemon Stadium 2, where you can kind of use the platforms occasionally, but generally they're pretty much stay out of the way, and you can use them when someone is camping you or to camp them. Yeah, overall, I would say that those are the two most viable paths to move Lylat and Small Battlefield to starters. So you have 7 starters. You can still do a striking there, right? Both people essentially strike 3 stages and there's 1 left. That said, I think you can also go the route where you pick FD, you take away FD and you add Small Battlefield. Editor, make the Small Battlefield. So that you now have Battlefield for triplats. You have Pokemon Stadium 2 for wide stages, and Town and City as well. So both those are wide. You have Smashville for very small, and you have Small Battlefield as a small stage, but with not too small. And then, you know, like, I think that's probably the best range, I would say, in terms of like making it concise and fast to strike. But I would probably lean towards add Lilat and small battlefield here. And it is worth noting that Lilat is a stage that has a lot of problems. However, it does have a unique stage layout. It has 3 plats. And the ceilings are pretty good. They're a little bit smaller. And the ledge was actually fixed significantly in the latest patch. The patch before 8.1, I should say. So 8.0. And as far as I know, I haven't seen much jank from it since. That might be not true, but I would probably say that just because a stage is a little jank, it does not really, in my opinion, justify putting it on counterpick. If a stage is viable, it's viable. And so it can be on starters or not, right? So I would put Lilat here. I would put Smash Roll there. And then for counterpicks, you have Yoshi's and you have Kalos. So basically another small ceiling stage and another wide stage with big ceilings that aren't really allowed to be picked initially, but can be used after the initial counterpick. And yeah, that's honestly my opinion. I think that should be the stage list. And I think anyone trying to add any other stage is kind of crazy. But due to the current circumstances, we won't really have any offline tournaments for a while. And so I think I would encourage some kind of testing. I mean, no one should really be taking online tournaments seriously anyway. So why not test around a little bit, see if people like some of the other stages, what kind of rules hit you would want. Is 7 stages for starters too many to strike? It could be. And if so, what would you strike with? You could do a three starter version where you would maybe do Battlefield, Small Battlefield, and Smashville for starters. That could be viable. But in general, I would probably say that 7 starters is the most fair one, because then each player gets to, you know, decide as much as possible for themselves, while no stage is clearly no stage is really a duplicate of the other one. Oh, ban and DSR. Ooh. Ban and DSR, I don't really think changes much. I personally think that the current system of having 2 bans is fine still. Having one more stage shouldn't really change DSR or bans significantly. And that's really all we're doing. We're adding 1 stage. If you compare this to the Evo starter, it's literally as many stages, right? It's just that this stage is small battlefield, right? So yeah, I don't think you need to change bans or DSR. But yeah, let me know what you think. Subscribe to the YouTube if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time. Can't make me. You cannot make me play an American person.
3, 2, 1.
You can add me on Twitter. I don't see it. In fact, I don't see anything from people that I don't follow on Twitter. Mental health thing. The left will give me money. $2 million. $2 million. And I will play an East Coast person. JV. Don't let it happen, man. Should I get hit? He paid for this. He paid to play. I'm sorry. Taunting anyway.